Greetings and salutations, my friends. We are live here from the cabin once again. I got here earlier tonight. I wanted to start a little earlier tonight, but we had all kinds of issues to get a microphone to work, and I think that we are ending up going with this Realtek microphone array, which I think is the laptop's built-in microphone. So if the sound is terrible tonight, my apologies. 2 USB microphones here. Neither of them would work. I don't know why at the moment. So technical issues aside, I want to give some shout outs. I see Horrible Hairy Toes. Andrew Vale is here. Jeanette Krasenko, Carol Utley, Out of Mind. And I think, who else did I see here? Oh, shout out to Paranormal Hajiggy. And Jonaside is here. I saw Kel Truth earlier. Kel Truth. And yeah, so tonight I thought we would continue our discussion of my favorite fake psychics. Tonight we're talking about James Van Praagh. James Van Praagh was another, just some of these guys are interesting characters, so people shouldn't blame me for having an interest in looking into them or learning more about them and how their cons work. James Van Praagh started out, the best thing that I could tell you about him is that he was a failed actor. He worked for a time at Paramount Studios. He hung around Hollywood. He was trying to be an actor for some time in his younger years. That never worked out for him. So he was a failed actor. A failed actor with a good education, by the way. He had a bachelor's degree in, I believe, communications and media. So he was a very educated failed actor when he fell into the role of a lifetime that he would play for the rest of his lifetime and has up until now. And that is the role of a lifetime for him. He found the role, the acting role of a lifetime, which is acting like a psychic and a medium that can talk to dead people. This is the role he fell into, and it has been incredibly profitable for him. He has written a whole bunch of books. This man is monetized, right? That's the word for it. He is a monetized machine. He sells books. He sells courses. He sells his private readings. He sort of also sells his guest appearances. A lot of people don't know, but when you go on like some television shows as a guest, you can request to be paid. And if the show wants you, they're going to pay the guest fee. He has been on a horde of different television shows, probably most notably the Oprah Winfrey Show. That, I'm sure, did not hurt his sales numbers of his books. So it's interesting to me that these fake psychics, fake mediums, always have a sort of media personality helping them and enabling them to sell their bullshit to the public. I guess the television people get ratings out of him, and he gets publicity out of them for his projects. So he's been on Larry King. He really started his television career and getting most of his publicity from a show called, I think it was called The Other Side, which he was a frequent guest on and eventual like main guy on that show, which was about mediums and talking to, dead people. But I thought I'd share a few things that would really explain a little more about this gentleman. One person, and I want to play this one specifically. This is from CBS News. One person went to James Van Praagh for a reading shortly after their father died, and he was with CBS News, and he was skeptical but hopeful that he would have a good experience. But in this video, I think we get a backstage look into what may be some of Mr. Van Praagh's methods that he uses to convince people that he's a psychic, or to convince people that he's talking to their dead relatives. This is what I call pre-show work. In other words, if you're a psychic and you know that you have to give a reading to this gentleman that's a reporter on CBS, then you look him up. You find out everything you can about him. You pick out some obscure things that he would have forgotten you could find out about him on Google, and you throw those out there. This, my friends, is called pre-show work, and it is a method used by almost all of these fake psychics if they're ever put in a position where they know in advance who they will be doing the reading for. It used to be a lot harder for them to do this back in the day, but think about all of the information that's available to you, available about you on the internet. If I was to look up you, anyone here in the live chat, couldn't I find out some information that you sort of forgot you posted or forgot was out there in the universe, right? Then it would seem like, how could he know that? Well, he looked it up. He Googled you. Pre-show work is very common. And almost all of them that I have encountered do them if they're smart enough to. Some of them get arrogant to the point that they think they don't need to do the hot reading or need to do the pre-show work. They can just cold read so good that they're going to convince the guy that way. But it is what it is. This is called pre-show work, as I was explaining. Let me see now. I'm trying to find the right tab. Okay. We're going to share this, and we're going to cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We're educating the public about fake psychics like James Van Praagh. And we'll be discussing this clip and stopping it along the way for commentary. And again, we're using this to educate the public, so this is fair use. This is from CBS News. Okay. And the video is titled, Can Psychics Really Talk to the Dead? And this is from a CBS News piece.
His name is James Van Praagh, and he sits atop the marquee of mediums. He's been oft-profiled in print and on TV, and has written 4 bestsellers about his work, including his newest one, Growing Up in Heaven. Van Praagh claims that he's been psychic since he was a young boy.
I remember when I was a young kid, I used to see spirits all the time. I used to see lights around people and colors around people. And I knew, as a child, I used to see these things. And to me, I thought everybody could see them.
Were we all born with a gift?
We're all born with intuition. Every single person has intuition.
So could we all learn to use it the way you use it?
There's some people that are born with more sensitivity. Everybody's born with the ability to play the piano, but not everybody's a concert pianist.
And James Van Praagh would later go on to sell courses and books on how you can develop your psychic powers. So interesting that he would sort of say here that some people are born with more than others when he's selling a course on how you can become psychic. I don't know.
Okay. Ready?
Van Praagh then demonstrated his virtuoso skills.
Divine Heavenly Parent, we ask your blessing upon this meeting today. Dear spirit friends, please draw it near to me. Give us glimpses of eternity.
He began by reaching back into my childhood.
And when you're younger, I get a lot of anger. So as I look to you and think a little boy, I want to make sure that there's a sense of being wanted.
That's a generalization. This is another tactic that all these fake psychics use. They throw out generalized statements. Well, I see you as a young boy, and there was a lot of anger. Who was not angry as a young person? You know?
And would you know Susan?
Yes.
Susan, your mother?
Yes.
How interesting. You're part of 2 families, you're saying to me. That makes sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Are you adopted?
Yes.
So
I'd been expecting that, but I wasn't prepared for what happened next.
This man is coming close to me, so I'm asking him as I'm talking to you, I'm sending thoughts to him, and he's coming in very strong.
Was he talking about my father, or was it someone else?
Who is, you know the name of L.E.? Leonard or Leon, or Leo, Leo something?
Yes.
Leo. This is this man standing next to me.
Leo was the name of my adoptive mother's longtime companion, whom I loved as a stepfather for almost 25 years. Leo died suddenly in 2009.
I feel very much like he's a part of you as far as influencing you. I feel very much like that. It makes sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Can I just tell you that he holds you in like, and you're a big boy, but he's holding you like a baby. And I see it more as symbolic because I see more like nurturing you.
Hearing of and thinking about Leo in that moment was a moving experience for me. Though for a number of reasons,
You can imagine that many people, when they think they're communicating with a dead relative, they're going to get emotional. They're going to be experiencing all the memories of that person. They're going to be reliving things that they said to that person, things that happened with that person throughout their lifetime. It's going to be emotional. And these people are selling that moment. They're selling that moment to grieving people.
I was still unconvinced and had to ask.
You knew who was coming here. Did you
No.
Google me at all?
I'm sorry to say, I honestly, I didn't know who you were.
It wasn't the only question I'd ask or be left with that day.
What exactly are you seeing?
It's very, very fast. I see the faces. But I see it very quickly, like a flash. I say, well, they're in a different dimension.
So where are they? I was gonna.
I know you're going to ask me that. I'm psychic. So where are they? It's a good question. Where are they? Well, it's interdimensional. So we are living in a multi-dimensional environment.
And this is a pretty common explanation for where the dead go. They go to another dimension, but that dimension is right here with us. We just can't access it. We can't see it. The land of the living and the land of the dead are the exact same place, just in different frequencies. And yeah.
To get a sense of what was possible, we took Van Praagh for a walk on the beach near his home, where he proceeded to approach total strangers.
Your father and him need to come together. Yeah, I don't know why. Are they not? They're separated too, yes?
Yeah.
Is there somebody you'd like to speak to that's passed on?
Yeah.
Who's that?
I would love to speak to my mother.
Within minutes, Van Praagh said he was seeing both of this woman's deceased parents.
Someone could not get to them before they passed over. Couldn't get to the mother before she passed over. Is that right?
My mother was in Iran.
And you
yes.
couldn't get back there in
That
time.
is correct.
And you've held on to this for a while. And I want you to
Right.
release it. Understand? You got to release that because I feel your mother's very, very happy with you. And doesn't matter to her. God bless.
God bless you.
Okay, thank you.
And it all seemed so impressive, but I couldn't help but notice many of these folks seem to be unknowingly participating in what's called a cold reading, simply helping a medium along as they probe for information.
Is there an attorney in the family?
Yes.
Yeah, who is this?
My nephew.
Okay, I like him. Your father is looking over him.
It was as if they wanted to believe and wanted him to succeed, and that he was dependent upon their assistance.
Yeah, faith and belief, I think, has a lot to do with this. The people that believe that these people can really talk to their dead relatives are just going to believe it. If the guy's not very accurate or things don't seem exactly right, a lot of people, too, they feel pressure. Remember, these people are being observed. They're even being filmed. They're not going to object too much to much of what this person is saying.
Yeah, we will.
Anybody named William, you know?
Well, yes.
Yes, who's that?
His brother.
Brother? Yes, he's still living,
Yes,
is he then?
yes.
Yes.
Something else curious transpired at one of Van Praagh's spirit circles.
How are you? Good to see you.
Group readings where attendees pay $100 each to speak to the dead.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes.
And if you've not had the benefit of being to one of these events, your $100 just gets you in the door. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to talk to your dead relatives. There's, sometimes 100, 200 people in the room. You do the math of what this guy's making. I don't know what it costs to rent a small room in a hotel, but, a small sort of banquet room which is what he kind of does is goes and rents these places, $100 a pop, and you too can maybe talk to the dead if you're lucky enough that he picks you out of the hundreds of people in the audience.
Just close your eyes. There you go.
Van Praagh often posed general questions
How many people had dreams of their loved ones?
that were likely to resonate with at least one person in a large group.
Does someone have a scar on the foot?
I do.
Thank you. Because your daddy is telling me there's a scar on your foot.
Yeah.
Did you catch that, Nightlight?
We sure did. We also noticed that Van Praagh has also been a target of numerous critics and investigative reports, including a 2020 segment which put his gift to the test, a test he didn't always seem to pass.
The 2020 appearance for him was likened to Uri Geller's Tonight Show appearance. This was a big primetime news. It's 2020, huge ratings, and this is back in 1998. Failed miserably with the panel of people that 2020 had him do the readings for. I try to find the clip of the whole thing, and I can't find the clip of the 2020 sequence of him failing miserably. There's just a few moments of it in this clip, but we can get a sense of this person's total failure here.
Was he killed?
No.
Was this an accident of some sort?
I don't think it,
You don't
it
think so?
was. No.
Was he a shot at all of the gun?
No.
No. Every argument can be made. For an extent,
Here's the excuses.
It's a lot easier for someone to stick to their old paradigm, with their old way of thinking. A lot easier than stepping outside that box and questioning, is there life after death?
Van Praagh suggested there's academic support for his gift.
I was once tested by a professor, Professor Gary Schwartz, and it was 93% accuracy, 94% accuracy of it.
So we tracked down Dr. Gary Schwartz, a former Yale tenured professor who now teaches at the University of Arizona.
This guy is something of a believer in all of this phenomenon. And even though he's a credentialed scientist, I don't think that his methods are very scientific. He's been involved in a lot of, let's just say, quack research.
I've been very impressed with James. He is as real and accurate on the average among the best of the mediums I've ever tested. You're going to sit in this chair.
Schwartz showed us the kind of work he does using a local medium and a subject of Nightline's choosing.
Share with us whatever you're experiencing right now.
I got a big, fluffy dog, big dog walking around here.
The results were underwhelming.
And you're not the one that lost the dog recently?
No.
Did you recognize the dog?
No.
But the dog was really distracting, so he has to belong to somebody in here.
I was connected to the memory of the dog. So that dog may
Oh, it was the scientist. The dog was for him.
As for my own reading,
Leo, Leo, something?
I'd known there was plenty of information regarding my past readily available with a cursory internet search, including an extensive interview I'd given to a website 2 years before, one that covered every talking point of the reading, from my dead relatives to my adoption, except, I thought, for Leo, until I looked again upon my return home. And there it was, a reference to his passing, able to be exploited along with all the rest. And when we asked him to read our producer on the spot.
Oh, this is great as well. I love it when they fail and they say, I'm feeling weak today. I'm not, the vibrations are not coming to me. It's funny.
That didn't go so well.
I'm tired.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to give you a clear quality thing.
So Van Praagh failed to make a believer of me that day. But I doubt it'll bother him.
Do I care if you believe what I do? I could care less. Do I care if cynics believe it? I could care less.
After all, he's got plenty of those already.
Is it fair to call you a believer now?
I have to admit, it's the truth. I hope I can take this to my family and tell them wow, I am blown away.
Yeah, so there's a little bit about Mr. Van Praagh. 1 second. Okay. So, what else can I tell you about Mr. Van Praagh? Several people have done. There is another video. We're running a little long. I was going to play this other video, but this one's really long. But it's called Van Praagh Test It. You could look it up on YouTube. And it's a gentleman that is familiar with cold reading, hot reading, and pre-show work. And he paid for a very expensive session. I think James Van Praagh's sessions are $500 to get a Skype session where he talks to your dead relatives, and that's a 20-minute reading. So there have been people that actually paid him and then recorded it and posted it on YouTube. And that's pretty great proof of the guy is just guessing, literally just guessing through these readings. And a few people have bought the readings and then taken him to task on YouTube concerning it. I thought we could also hear, though, from Michael Shermer a little bit about the techniques involved. And Michael Shermer is a famous skeptic, of course. I think he founded that Skeptic Society or this, yeah. Anytime that there's some bullshittery around, sometimes you see Michael Shermer show up to show the skeptic side of things and the other side of the coin. So in this instance, Michael Shermer, in a video that I found, explains some of the methods that these fake psychics use, and I totally agree with Mr. Shermer on these on the methods that are being used here. Cold reading is the most common. They also use hot reading. Sometimes they do pre-show work or investigate the subject before the reading so that they will be preloaded with some information that they can pump out in an apparently psychic way. But we're going to cite fair use once again and share this. This is Michael Shermer debunks Mr. Van Praagh. Let's see if we can get this here. Okay, and this is transformative work. We're educating the public. So we're going to cite fair use here as we are educating the public about fake psychic Mr. Van Praagh and the methods that these fake psychics use. We'll be discussing and critiquing the clip. This is fair use. And this is from A&E. My wife used to call this person that's narrating this piece the creepy voice guy. I think he was on A&E, and he was on like a bunch of different mystery shows as a narrator. He's got a very distinctive voice.
Can a medium like James Van Praagh receive and interpret messages from people who have died? Some scientists believe that the techniques used by Van Praagh have more to do with his background than any type of psychic ability.
In my opinion, James Van Praagh is an actor who was for a long time in search of a role to play. If you read his book, if you read the interviews with him, it's all there. He grew up in the theater. He worked for Paramount Studios. He hung around Hollywood types in hopes of finding work. He finally found work as an actor playing the role of a medium, and he's now very successful.
Psychologists like Michael Shermer contend that Van Praagh's so-called psychic ability is best understood in terms of the different types of readings that anyone could perform.
Yeah, so we mentioned the different kind of readings: cold readings, hot readings, and pre-show work.
Cold readings are where you literally read somebody cold. You've never seen them before. You haven't gotten information on them. And you just start throwing stuff out, lots and lots and lots of comments and questions. And the way that works is most of what you say are misses, but people will remember the hits and forget the misses. And the reason you get hits at all is through random chance.
A warm reading makes statements about people that are true for virtually everyone.
These are the generalized statements that I mentioned before. And I gave a reading to somebody in the live chat before, a cold reading, and they said I was like 95% accurate. And these are statements like, you're a kind person, you're generous with your friends and family, especially with those that are really in need. And another technique that these people use is that psychics will always, if they're giving you a reading, will always assign positive traits to the subject. In other words, just like I just said, you're a very generous person, you're kind, even to people you don't know. Because who's going to say, no, I'm not kind to strangers? Fuck strangers, right? You're just not going to. When somebody is giving you traits that are positive, you're going to just agree with them. And that is another very common method. Assign positive traits to the subject. Make them feel good about themselves.
We almost all have pictures of our lost loved ones in the bedroom, next to the bed, on the hearth, over the fireplace, on the mantle where we keep these sorts of memories. So a warm reading would be to say something about that person that's true for everyone, and you're bound to get a hit, 80-90% certainty.
A hot reading is one where the medium actually digs into the client's past, retrieving seemingly otherworldly information from earthly sources.
I've had skeptics say to me that, or actually said on national television, that I actually have a computer system set up to everyone's house in the country, which I think is extraordinary. And I think I'd be the first one to tell people I had that, because I think that's incredible. I'm going around investigating people.
Information is more readily available than it's ever been in history, so it's easy to do. But in reality, I think most of the time, most psychics don't cheat like that. They don't have to. You can use these other techniques quite successfully.
Yeah, so even with the preponderance, with the proliferation, excuse me, of the internet, I think I probably agree with Michael Shermer in that most of the fake psychics that I've encountered were too arrogant to do the work that you need to do to really study a subject. They're more concerned with quick bucks, quick money, easy money. They don't want to do work, so they rely on these cold reading techniques and things like that.
Believers naturally reject such skeptical explanations and insist the skeptics are reacting to their own fear of the unknown.
Life after death makes the psychological and the medical community nervous because it's something we can't control, measure, touch, or see. And most scientists feel threatened. They feel like a loss of control when you put something underneath them that requires a little bit of belief, a little bit of faith, plus some science.
So how could one explain Van Praagh's supposed discovery of the brother Peter Redgrove never knew, and the appearance of a nun who had abused him 30 years earlier?
I often hear stories about things that Van Praagh gets that are just seemingly impossible, that I can't possibly explain. But whenever I see tapes of the whole reading, I have never once seen something that he got that he couldn't have gotten from, that I couldn't have gotten from the conversation and the feedback, that I can't explain through normal means, not once. So that tells me when I hear these stories, you couldn't have possibly known that there's exaggeration on the part of the storyteller. And when they go to see Van Praagh, almost everybody suspends their disbelief. They suspend skepticism. They want the act to be real, and they are willing participants in that.
Yeah, and I would think that if you're paying $100, you're probably a believer. I don't see many skeptics paying the $100 to go and laugh at this guy. Looks to me, from a cursory examination, at least of what I've observed of this person, and his audiences are always willing participants. I've almost never seen anybody really challenge any of these mediums while they're getting a reading on any of the, television appearances I've seen him do. Nobody challenges him. They just, they sort of go along. And I think that believing brain and no discernment here, they want to believe that they can talk to their dead relatives. They paid the $100. They're invested in this being real.
And now with
Some psychologists tread the middle ground, believing Van Praagh's messages from beyond the grave should be given just as much credence as the advice that any of us seek from friends and colleagues.
I think that it's not a bad idea to put that on your plate alongside what the university professors are saying and the Nobel Prize winner is saying and your local neighbor is saying. But don't get overly attached to the channeled entity any more than you're getting attached to your neighbor or the local professor.
Van Praagh agrees and offers this advice. to those who are considering a session with a medium or a psychic.
Everyone has to question things, yes. But don't be closed-minded. Be open-minded. See that life continues on. There are no endings, only beginnings.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Mr. Van Praagh, he doesn't care if you don't believe in his psychic abilities. 1 second. I hate that. I always stop sharing the screen and then some other video plays, and it's usually like a blaring loud commercial, so I apologize. So I looked into what Mr. Van Praagh has been up to lately, and lately he's trying to sell sort of online courses and online sessions. He's still at it. And in 2013, I thought this was interesting. Mr. Van Praagh sued his own sister, who is also decided she's a psychic too, because she stopped using her married name and started using her maiden name, which is her maiden name, the name that she was born with, James. But James Van Praagh apparently has trademarked his name and had a problem with his own sister using his name, which I guess is also her name, but she hadn't used that name in 30 or so years. Maybe she was trying to cheese off of his fame, and so she changed her name to Van Praagh like his, try to get more bookings, do more readings. I'm not really sure. And why? I don't know what kind of love and light guy that talks to dead people all day would sue his sister for using the same name as him, but okay. What I have one of his books, which I think is just a word salad mess of horse shit. And I only got halfway through it. I just couldn't read the whole thing because it's just love and light and rainbows, and our relatives are still here with us, and nobody, death is just a gateway to the next, it's just all of this woo-woo happy horse shit, rainbows and sunshine, love and light nonsense. That's what his books are. Near as I can tell, that's one man's opinion, and other people are free to form their own opinion. I don't think that anything can be lost except for some time, I guess, for reading the guy's books, but I don't recommend them. I thought that he would talk about his superpowers more, and I could get some insight into that, but mostly it's the book that I have is just, it's a word salad bunch of nonsense for grieving people. So the guy is continually profiting from the grief and suffering of people. And that, I suppose, is probably the biggest problem that I have with mediums in general, is it's that they're profiting from these people's grief, and they're just pretending. And, I guess the only other profession where you can pretend like that and get paid is acting, or being a cosmic con man, right? Or a fake whistleblower, right? But that's acting too. Yeah. So very strange. This guy has continued to profit despite a number of critics really ripping him to shreds, including Michael Shermer and James Randi as well, who we mentioned had a problem with Uri Geller and Sylvia Brown. He also went after James Van Praagh and did a lot of work to prove that Van Praagh was using, let's say, little helpers out in the audience, right, to sort of mingle with people and pump them for information, and a few other just sort of expose Randy did on the ridiculousness of this person's claims of talking to dead people. So we'll turn our attention to the live chat. We're going to probably make this one a short one, guys. I have this whole other video, but I think it's best if you're really interested, because it's pretty long. It's like 15 minutes long. It's called Van Praagh Tested. And that's Van, V-A-N, Praagh, P-R-A-A-G-H, Tested. And you can see an entire session that he does with somebody that is absolute horseshit. I mean, absolute horseshit. I lost the mouse. Yeah, so there we go. So that's the last video I was going to play, but it's like 15 minutes long. We're running a little bit long on the presentation. I wanted tonight to be sort of a quick one. I have a great deal of work to try to do tomorrow here at the cabin. We're working on the sunroom. And when I say we, I mean I. Me, myself, and I. I wish I had a crew here. It would go a lot faster, right? So I have tomorrow I have to put these stone footers in, and I have a plan, and for actually doing this now, and we're using stone footers, and then we're going to have these towers going up that are like made out of firewood and logs that'll be all cemented together, and those will be sort of pillars, and they're going to hold everything up and hold everything together. Hopefully. We get really tough winters here, so I have to make sure that that roof is going to hold the really heavy snow load. Like, it's got to be able to hold like 3 feet of snow, and that's a lot of weight. So we have to sort of overbuild everything here so that the snow doesn't knock everything down. And you know what I'm going to do, friends? I'm going to go. I'm having a really hard time seeing the live chat. I'm on this laptop with a small screen. So, oh, that's the wrong one. Let me switch accounts. Just bear with me for a moment, friends. Okay. But I do recommend, if you're interested in this Van Praagh and seeing him fail miserably, look up this video, Van Praagh Test It. 1 second. Yeah, and I hear the microphone now is kind of hissy, and I'm sorry for that. We're on a limited production here at the cabin. Everything here at the cabin's a little crappier than home, you know? We got to rough it a little bit. But I wanted to go to the live chat so that I could... I'm afraid of crashing StreamYard otherwise. Okay, there we go. Now I can see this. I have to do the whole making it bigger thing. I feel like an old man. Oh, Keltruth says that the live stream is glitching bad. PBR Streets Gang says audio and video is here. Keltruth says it's cutting in and out. Yeah, I apologize if that's the case for anyone. You are all the way on the other side of the country from me, though, Keltruth. Maybe... Yeah, it looks like the stream quality is good from my side of things. So I apologize if that's the case. Genocide says it's good here too. I wonder, can you invoke synchronicity? Think so. Bunya, I think you can welcome synchronicities into your life. I don't know about invoking them or what you mean by invoking them. I'm going to go back to the StreamYard chat, actually, because that's a little too big. Yeah. I'm afraid to move this, too, because I have this webcam just like placed there. I'm going to try it. There we go. All right, now I've gotten back to my chat here. I want to be able to see if any of the Facebook people comment, and I don't see that in the YouTube chat. Carmine Gangimi, what about remote viewing? I have a particular interest in remote viewing, and if I had to pick one psychic power that I think there may be something to, I think that remote viewing is very interesting. Do I think it's real? I think it's in my gray basket, and the jury is still out. Here, we'll put that on the screen. The jury is still out for me, but what I will say is that there has been more scientific study of remote viewing than most other psychic phenomenon. So there's more data out there. Jonaside, have you checked PayPal lately? No, I haven't. Let me go and do that just in case. One second, friends. Please bear with me. Oh, we did. We did get a donation here. Let's see. Who is this one from? One second, friends. I'm having a real hard time here because, boy, I'm used to the big screen at home. Okay, yeah, we got a donation just now, right? Yeah, today's the 10th, so we just got a generous $5 donation. Let me see if they wrote a note. Okay. All right, well, big shout out and a big thank you for a generous and kind donation from Jonaside of $5. Thank you for your continued support. I appreciate that immensely. I appreciate everyone's support. I really do. And $5 is $5, bro. So praise the cash. Praise the cash. Anybody who wants to send me a PayPal donation, there's a PayPal donate button, and I appreciate that. We're calling it the Not So Super Chat donations. Or you can support me on Patreon for $1 and you get a bunch of free stuff every month straight from me. We do an audio journal every month. You get access to my free Linux operating system, Altos. You also get the Mind Hack demos. There's going to be a new Mind Hack demo this month. I'm muscling through it because I missed you guys so much. Yeah, I haven't seen you around, Keltruth. I did get your message. I'm sorry that I didn't reply. Listen, here's my new strategy. When somebody from the show sends me a message, if I want to say something, but it's going to take too long to type out, I got to save all of my typing time for my operating system work and my computer work. So I hope no one will think me rude. If you don't get a message back from me, it's just because I had things that I wanted to say, and I thought, well, I'll just do it on the show. Then I don't have to type it out. You know, we're interactive here. So, Keltruth, my son started school on Tuesday, and I have been equally busy because there's all this stuff that I couldn't do the whole time that he was home with me. Remember, my son, who's actually going to school, is the autistic one. So he requires, you got to be like right on top of him all day long. You can't do nothing. So, or bad things happen. Like you leave him alone for 5 minutes and there's like a 5-pound bag of flour all over the kitchen or something. So, so all those, there's a bunch of things that I've been trying to get done that as soon as he was in school all day, I was like, boom, let's get some of this stuff done. So I've been very busy myself and also trying to pump out some more shows and things like that. So tonight's generous benefactor was Jonaside with a kind donation of $5. It is immensely appreciated. Every dollar helps. Every dollar helps. Okay, Spudwife is here. I didn't see you earlier. Shout out to Spudwife. I think once these grifters break through initially and gain followers, they are good to go. Fans will defend just like CG. They will reinvent themselves periodically so that the money keeps coming. Yeah, I think that you're exactly right. Some of them are masters at publicity. I think the best among these people at getting himself publicity has always been Uri Geller because he's just come up with stuff And that's probably because Uri Geller started as a stage magician. And listen, when I did stage magic, anything that you could put on a poster to make yourself look huge, you did. Like I was the renegade magician. And there's a funny story about that. But I came up with all kinds of stuff. Like I once got disqualified in a magic contest among magicians, and they disqualified me because they were just bitter, angry old dudes that didn't like me. So I brought this. There was maybe, I don't know, 50 or 100 people there, and nobody was really getting applause at this contest. Nobody was doing great, and I brought the house down with applause that night. And they knew I won. These old geezers knew I won. But the judges were friends with one of the guys in the contest. So they wanted him to win. And this was like an old guy that didn't even do magic for real people. He only did it at the magic club. He had somebody pick a card and then put the card back in the deck, and then he missed the card. He missed the card and didn't get the guy's card. And then he had to go under the table and like reset a trick deck and try to do the trick again. And meanwhile, I did great. I just rocked the house and got a huge amount of applause. So the judges knew they couldn't say that I lost. So they disqualified me for all kinds of nonsense. Like, well, you weren't sitting at a table and this is a close-up. Nobody said I had to sit at a table. I stood up and I did my act to music. I didn't sit at a table. Nobody said that you were allowed to use music at this contest. Nobody said I wasn't, so anyway, I took that I was disqualified from a magic contest, and I blew up these huge posters that said the act of magic so powerful it got Stephen Cambion disqualified from a Society of American Magicians magic contest. And everybody would read that poster and go like, wow, that must be good, right? It got him disqualified. It's that powerful. We got to see this. And I used that for publicity for years. My point being that guys that come from magic, we know how to twist the facts and make great posters and get hype for ourselves. Uri Geller is probably the best of these frauds at getting free publicity for himself, at really promoting himself. This James Van Praagh is a little more reserved. He was very lucky, though, because he had media pumpers, like Larry King, and he had media pumpers like Oprah Winfrey. He was on Joy Behar's show. He was on The View, I think. Any television show that he did just got him more publicity, and he was always, it wasn't like he just went on the show. It was always like, buy my new book. And then 6 months later, a year later, he's got a new book, and he'd go back on that show again, buy my new book, and these media personalities want the ratings and they want the hype of having a psychic on their show. So it's a trade-off with these people. They get publicity and the TV people get the ratings and the controversy, Oh, this is a great one. Oh, I'm trying to get to it. Here we go. If you ever wonder if there is money being a fake psychic, just Google Uri Geller's house. I agree with you. And that's just one of his houses. He's got houses all over the world. He owns an island in Scotland, or right off of Scotland. Private islands aren't cheap, friends. So yeah, good for Uri Geller, man. He really rocked it. Spudwife, I am sensing you are struggling right now. There is a project you are working on that is causing stress. You have a male figure that has passed that is with you, that is helping you. Yeah, and that's all public information, friends. And a good example of how psychic bullshit works. Yes, and I've done some more work. I've done some more work on my project, and I don't know what I was saying last night, that I'm going to do a channeling session, and I think I'm going to do that tomorrow. I've got a bunch of notes, and we're going to see how the channeling goes. Can I channel my higher self? And can I provide useful, relevant information by channeling my highest godlike self? We're going to find out. We're also doing that because we need a little more woo on the channel. You know, I'm getting complaints. You know, we gotta pump the woo to get those numbers up, friends. So I'm gonna do channeling. I don't know. Maybe we'll do like a ghost hunt next week, right? Whatever people want, we'll do it here. We will do it. So if you have any questions or comments for me, Carol Utley, channel this, buddy. What? Okay, maybe. I take it that Carol Utley is not a fan of channeling. We're gonna channel, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be great, great stuff. Kel Truth, pray to the woo god. Yes, please woo god. I don't care if these woo people are crazy. If they click subscribe, we want them. Praise the woo gods. Bring them. Bring the woo people. Bring them all. Yeah, so tomorrow I have to I gotta work on this. I gotta work on this sunroom. And yeah, Spudwife, this thing stressed me out. It really stressed me out last week. But then I kind of spent some time with my wife and kids at the lake and kind of calmed down, and I went over there. I spent I literally spent hours in a chair just sitting in front of it, like looking at the job site, trying to put the pieces together and figure out how the hell this thing is getting built. Everything here is always like that, though. PBR Street Gang, I want another deep dive into Dolan and his bullshit. It's on the way. I have notes. I think I have 2 pages of notes for this Dirt on Richard Dolan Part 2. But I'm always like this. I always go, let me look into a few more things before we, pull the trigger on that show. When you're gonna go, and when it's somebody like Richard Dolan, who's like Mr. Serious, learned academic guy, right? I want to have my T's crossed and my I's dotted and have facts in hand. I don't want to go fast and loose with this subject matter, like that. We have to really make sure that we do our homework. But what I have so far is some revealing information about Eric Davis and why nobody should trust that guy or anything that he's involved in. And more information that would confirm that the Wilson documents are totally fake. And some other stuff that Mr. Dolan has been involved in that looks shady as shit. But we'll get to that, and we'll unpack that on a future show. I just got a quick glance. It was hazy, more of a telepathic message. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Spudwife, John, Edward, Long, they're all on my list of favorite fake psychics, Spudwife. So we're going to do a show on each of them. And I have a funny story about Long Island medium lady. She's a nutter. Yeah. So, Stephen, it's time to put my 4th grader away, or the TikTok gods will keep him up all night. You'll have an amazing night. It's good to be back. Yeah, it's good to have you back. You have a good night, Kel Truth. Yeah. So, friends, we're going to call this one a quick one. I got to try to get some rest, and, I got to clean up some man mess in here first. And then I got to try to get some rest, and tomorrow is going to be a long day for me. So, but we should be back with another show as long as the internet gods will allow and the streaming works from here. I'm sorry for the microphone issues. I'm going to try my best to get this resolved tomorrow. I got another USB microphone somewhere in between 3 of them. One of them's got to work. I think it may have something to do with the headphone jack, but I don't know. I'll figure it out tomorrow. These things are going to happen. In any case, I'm sorry that the audio is hissy, but it was the only available option that was getting a level for some reason. Tomorrow I will sort it out. Jean-Claude is here. He says, love the log cabin. Yeah, I love it too. This is exactly, Jean-Claude, I really almost just went to Home Depot and bought 2x4s and siding. And I'm so glad that I didn't do that. I'm so glad. I was cursing at that decision for a few months while I was building this nightmare behind me. But now that it's done, it is absolutely something straight out of a dream. I literally manifest this cabin right out of a dream. And I got to learn a lesson in manifesting. Like, look, sometimes you're going to have a dream and it's not going to be easy to manifest into the real world, right? This was crazy. This is like a year of probably a full year of weekends working your ass off every day. Blood, sweat, and tears, though, pays off eventually. And now I have what is essentially the cabin of my dreams. But, things are continuing here. We're building that sunroom next door. Well, it's like the south-facing wall is going to be a big sunroom. So if you're familiar with the concept of Earthship house, they always have a lot of glass on the south-facing wall, and that gives free thermal heat. That's why we're doing that here. Oh, Kel Truth, one more thing. Since you're on the topic, you really need to check out the YouTube channel, Channeling Eric. I'm dying to know what you think. Okay, good for real now. Yeah, I'll check it out. Jean-Claude, I can only imagine, but yes, it's a manifest dream. Totally cool. Make it so. Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I learned doing this is that you can't be stopped by obstacles. I had so many obstacles along the way, like, geez, I don't have enough logs. And I swore we had enough logs. And a couple of times I had to go find more building materials. And both times it was like difficult to get over those humps and challenges and bumps in the road. And then I was fighting the weather, because you can't do this cement work when it's freezing. If the temperatures are freezing, the cement's not going to cure right, then it's going to be a mess. So I was fighting that. I basically built fires around this thing, like get that can fire just to keep it warm when it was like borderline, like 35, 45 outside, still trying to do this work. And but my point is, you got to overcome every obstacle, and eventually the universe just gets out of your way. Like, I think when the universe realizes that you're just not going to be stopped, it stops putting those challenges and obstacles in your way. Looks like lots of wheelbarrows of cement. Yeah, I didn't even have a wheelbarrow. I had just a metal thing. And then I'd say about 3/4 of the way through, I caved. My neighbor kept saying, I got a cement mixer. What are you doing, bro? Like, I'll bring it over. You're going to save yourself half your labor if you just use the cement mixer. And I kept saying no, because I was afraid that I was going to mess up his cement mixer or break it, or anyway, 3/4 of the way through, we got a cement mixer from my neighbor. And boy, that made the last quarter go. I was 3/4 of the way up the wall. I mixed up to 3/4 of the wall up by hand with a hoe and a cement pail. But having the cement mixer really made that last quarter that we had to finish go so much faster. And I was so thankful to have that thing. And the next time, if I ever do anything like this again, I'm going to use the cement mixer. Part of me wanted to just do it all by hand. But then I realized, I wasn't cutting these logs by hand. We had chainsaws for that. So I caved on the chainsaw and the cement mixer. Otherwise, this is all hand done work. You're showing a great lesson to your kids, man. Respect to you, sir. Yeah, my my youngest son is 4, and he keeps saying, "I want to build a cabin too, Daddy. I'm going to need some tools." And then he goes pulling tools out and stuff. I think when he gets a little older, I'm going to let him build a cabin here if I get to help, because I like building cabins. It's one of my favorite things, and I didn't know that until I built one. But I've got a lot more work to do here. We got to get this sunroom up, and then after that, I have I have to finish the ceilings in the kitchen, and the bathroom needs a little bit of finish work and ceilings, and that should be it. But then, of course, I'm stupid. So after I finish the sunroom, we're going to put a front porch on, because you got to love a cabin with a big front porch. And we don't have one. And that wouldn't, it's not a huge project or hugely expensive to do a front porch. And I think a front porch would be awesome. And it would also give us sort of an outdoor kitchen area. You know, you could put all the grills, and I have a smoker, and I'd like to have a earthen oven. That would be cool. So the work at the Apocalypse cabin continues. I got to say too, like when I was just finishing this place and getting the roof on and things, like COVID was just starting. And I hate that I felt this way, but I was like, please God, don't let me get this terrible COVID disease and die before I finish this cabin. Like this has just been a bucket list goal of mine for my whole life. And it was pissing me off. Like, really, my walls are 3/4 of the way up. I got to like a month, maybe a little more's worth of weekends, and I could finish this thing. I can't get sick and die, right? But that's also a lesson to us. Like, we've all got things that we want to do. Don't wait, because every day is a gift. You don't know. You could get hit by a car tomorrow and die, you know, or anything could happen. You know, these things that we think we're always going to have time for, we're not. You got to do the things that you want to do. If there's, especially if it's a big dream of yours, like this cabin has been, my wife knew, like she knew that I always wanted to do this. So she was real supportive. And plus I think she knew it was going to be good for the boys, man. Growing up, they're going to have a cabin to spend weekends and summers at. It's going to be awesome. And all the memories we're going to get to make here with our family. So, yeah, I highly recommend you go build that cabin, or, you know, whatever it is that you have that dream of. Buy that Corvette. I don't know. Take that trip. A lot of people think, oh, I'll have time to travel when I'm retired, and then they don't even make it to retirement. So don't wait. Do the things now. Do the things now that, you know, don't. I'm a big believer in that saying, don't put off till tomorrow what you could do today. Procrastinating on big things is a problem that a lot of people have. Like I said, well, I'll travel when I'm older, when I'm retired, or when I, you know, have more money, or whatever it is you want to do. You just got to find a way and convince the universe that you're going to do it, so the universe gets out of your way. Well, friends, we're going to call this one a quick one for once, and we will be back tomorrow with another show, and we may have a special appearance by someone who's a little angry about boxes of dildos being buried all over the world. Who knows? Fun and surprises may await us this weekend, friends. So, friends, I want to thank you all for joining me. We're also going to be continuing in our series, My Favorite Fake Psychics. And I think we have John Edwards and a few others, Long Island Medium, and a few others to go. But we may sort of jump around and do a show on another topic and get back to this to finish the series off. I'm fascinated by these fake psychics. I'm especially fascinated by how much money they make selling this bullshit. It is incredible. Very lucrative being a fake psychic. I don't know. I just don't feel like there's value in what these people are selling. But it is what it is, and that's the world we live in. People want to believe. They want to believe so desperately that they will open their wallets, open their purses, and throw money at these people claiming that they can talk to their dead relatives. As much as I have studied all of these frauds, fakes, mediums, psychics, I have yet to find a genuine one who could be proven to actually do what they claim to. And that's a sad thing. I would like to find one that is genuine. Maybe someday I will, but so far, that day hasn't come. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night and God bless.